I'm a principal. I'm a principal and senior vice president with Milliman in India. We're a consulting firm and mainly primarily an actuarial consulting firm. And I lead technology and product development for India. I work primarily in health insurtech, and my area of expertise is analytics and data warehousing and product development. So basically, all in the health insurance sector. Um, and from a PG from an ISB perspective, I think which is very relevant to add it over here, since all of that's the common thread between us and everybody here on the a part of this discussion. So I did my PGP Max almost now. It's been 8-9 years, and it's still fresh. That's how impactful it was. So I'm from the 2020 13 and it's been 8-9 years since I've done that, and it's been quite impactful, which we'll speak further down the road. But that's my introduction, and I work across I work globally with many markets in the health industry, in the health insurance industry. So maybe as we talk ahead, maybe there's an opportunity to talk more about it in a certain context. And very proud to be here with Shikha and Krishna. So over to you back, Smriti.
Thank you, one lovely introduction. So Shikha, a small introduction from you, if you could start it.
Yeah, hi, good evening all. Sorry, my video has some issue, but I'll try and fix it in a while. So myself, Shikha Sharma, my initial academic pursuits were focused on a career in biotechnology, and I worked as a scientist and specialist lecturer in a World Bank aided technical institute. I did my master's from IIT Roorkee, and then after 8 years of this government job, I started pursuing LLB from Delhi University, and then I entered real estate industry. And after navigating through various roles in estate management and post-sales delivery cycle management, I was basically looking at a next big leap in my career when I decided to join ISB. And after PGP Max, I could achieve what I wanted to. And then I was offered a broader role at DLF as South India Sales, Marketing and CRM portfolio, all under my command. And from the ISB time itself, entrepreneurship, had, started picking up my brains. And then I finally decided to take a plunge more later. Yeah, thank you. In short, yes, that's what it is.
Thank you, Shikha. Thank you for the lovely introduction. Krishna, can we move on to you for the introduction, please?
Thank you, Smriti. All right, so I'm Krishna. Basically, it's been 20 years in IT industry. The journey with computers started very early for me when I was graduating from psychology. It kind of started in 1996. Then I did a master's in computer application. It's been some time. I have worked with a lot of brands, a lot of good brands like Emphasis. I've worked with a couple of startups. I've also have spent a lot of time with IBM, being my biggest stint till now. And I have been associated entirely with, analytics world, data analytics world for some time. Initially, it was warehousing, similar to what Vandana mentioned. Those were the days it was more of architecture and warehousing and data lakes, and it was more common across. But then slowly it shifted towards data science, and the world started considering the importance of data. That's how my technical life has also traveled. And currently, I head the global data and analytics in HSBC Asset Management Group. It's a very different way of looking at things. When you are part of technical industry, you basically sell things, you sell products, right? When you are in captive companies, you end up buying it. So the entire strategy, the entire thinking changes as to how you use these products and make the impact to core business. It's exciting times. It's just 2.5 years I've joined this company, but it already seems like, you know, I've been here for a lot more, lot more time. PGP Max was a game changer in, you know, my journey, given that, you know, I come in from technical world, and we'll talk more, I guess, as Vandana said, but just wanted to point this out, that it's difficult for a person who has technical mindset to come, you know, and settle in the strategy world, unless you understand these jargons, right? The business jargons, which essentially we guys are very, very far off. So that's where PGP Max has really, really helped me. And I'm very, very proud and honored to be in this session today. Thank you. Back to you, Smriti.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you all for the lovely introduction today. So for the audience, the format of the session we're going to follow today is I'll pose a few questions that we generally get about the program, about the journey and experiences. Then if you have any questions, you can put it up in the Q&A box, and I'll pick it up one by one and ask it to our panelists. So you know, before we start the Q&A round, I have a few questions to the panelists today, for all of you to answer probably. So the first question that you know, comes in my mind is, what was the reason behind you know, pursuing the program, like, you know, deciding that you need to pursue an EMBA program, then zeroing in on the PGP Max program, and how do you think doing the program changed you or changed something in your professional life? So, you know, starting with Vandana, if you can answer that. You're on mute, Vandana. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. I didn't realize it. Yeah, sure. Happy to answer that question. Yes, so for me, the thing is, I have a technical background, and I love technology. I'm a technologist by profession and passion, both. And I was doing very well in my career, but this is, you know, when you are meeting, when you're in a certain business, so, you know, as you grow, you go beyond, one goes beyond just a very narrow work to a broader framework from a business perspective. And for me, I wanted to study, or rather gain knowledge in a more structured format. And for me, it was very important. The institute, choice of institute was very important, because at the end of the day, it is your cohort, your peers, and your faculty that makes a difference. Otherwise, you can go out and buy a book and read it, but it's not about, you know, a stamp of a degree, because you reach a stage in life where that is not important. What is important is, what are you going to learn out of it? And that was my and then I set out to decide that it has to be executive MBA, something in that format, because so as to continue working. And then the choice of the institute was very, very clear to me. There was really not no double thought on that. So basically, that's what my purpose was, to learn about other subjects like economics and finance, mainly these two, and of course other accounting and everything, all the typical business subjects in a more structured environment, so that I get a better understanding of you know, how the various components kind of work. How does it all fit in together when you look at it from a business perspective, and not just, you know, creating one product from a very narrow standpoint? It broadens your view. And and it definitely helped me, you know, more than I can put it in words. It really expanded my mind, and it was like, you know, a lot of these jigsaw puzzles came together. So jigsaw pieces actually came together. So yeah, it's for me, that was the reason. And I can just say that for me, it was something I was very happy I did it at ISP.
Thank you, Vandana. So Krishna, over to you. Why and how did you decide to do the program, and then what changes it brought in you?
Well, the trigger was the same what Vandana mentioned. It was not that at this stage of career where you've already spent, you know, 18, 20 years in life, you don't really crave for a degree or, you know, for a brand as such. You've already, you know, gotten to that level that you can grow in your career with your talent or with your experience. What I liked about ISP was, the way of teaching. It was because the way, ISP came out was more of case-based learning. And somehow the world, after you spend 18, 19 years in industry, you don't want to get back into that academics role, right? Somebody hands you over a book and asks you to read 10 chapters of accounting. I don't know about others, I can't do it. So the way I kind of had a couple of chats with one of, few of my colleagues who have already done some courses from ISP. What I liked from that conversation is that, if they want to teach you accounting, for example, they are not going to put you through a book. They are going to probably put up a balance sheet in front of you and ask you to read it, right? And then they will teach you on the job, right? They will teach you over the go. And that kind of, brought me closer to the school, that this is the way, this is experiential learning, which will really, make us understand this world which we have never seen. And second aspect was to converse, to kind of get that knowledge of this world. When you are talking to business, when you are talking to, people who don't understand technology, who basically understand the business, who understand the financial world, but they don't understand technology. So when I was working as a pre-sales consultant for data analytics, and I was talking to people like, to vice presidents or to, of renowned banks. When they come in and you talk about natural language processing or artificial intelligence to them, they shut off, because that's the language they don't understand and they don't want to hear it. Then you need to talk and converse to them in their language. Where do you get that knowledge from? So ISB literally brought a huge buffet with all of this finance knowledge, and then you take your pick from those, and you started conversing into those things. So really helped me there to increase my spectrum of general business, of general strategy, general thinking. That is, I think, the reason. Back to you.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you for that answer. So I think we have lost Shikha. She just dropped off probably because of some internet issues. So while she joins back, we'll continue with the session. So the next question that comes to my mind is, if you could point out two important things that you learned from the program and you took it along in your career, and you still cherish that learning with you. So, Vanda, would you like to mention those two important aspects that you learned?
Wow, this is like an exam for me and Krishna, I think. But just to continue, Krishna, that is like we are kind of so similar in background, and what you said is exactly what it is. Like for me, just being able to understand the business language, because you're meeting the CXOs, the CFOs and everything, and now you can confidently talk right from like highly technical to highly business. And the biggest achievement for me was I could read Economic Times on my own without bothering my husband. I think that was my biggest achievement. I could just read end to end myself and actually understand what's written. So two learnings you said. So yeah, this is one. I can talk business now. You can tell I'm a technologist, and when I'm talking technology, I'm good at it, but I'm like very good. But in all seriousness, yes, what I took from me was, like I said, the interrelationship. Then once your knowledge is there, then you can see the bigger picture with much more clarity. That's it. Because everything, it's the parts that make the whole, and knowledge about the parts is equally important to kind of understand the big picture. So for me, that was the biggest thing. And I think in some ways the rigor within ISB, based on the format that they have, for me, that kind of that helped me develop a certain, I would say, my own technique to pick up and learn things which are very new to me in a much better way. Because here you are, studying something that you've never studied in a very short period of time and in much depth, comparatively. So it exercises some of these muscles in your brain that I still use. So I think from personal, what I took away from a teaching, how it's helped me, those are the things. And then of course you have the intangibles like excellent friends and network.
Sure, sure. Thank you. And over to you, Krishna. Two important learnings so far.
Right. I think one thing is that you get topics of conversation now. If you need to break ice somewhere, you are kind of full in a room full of business associates. You can talk. Earlier, I used to feel that I'm just holding a glass of champagne and standing alone somewhere, and I'm looking for a technical person to converse. It's not the same anymore. You can talk. So that's one good thing, I guess. And then I guess another thing is that see, thought process was also earlier also there. It's not that we kind of built a new way of thinking. I mean, that is inherent to a person, right? But ISB brought in a structure to that thought process. Now, if I need to kind of present my slides or present a new practice idea or something to my senior execs or to my CEO, I know how to structure it. I know how to build a story. I know how to walk him or her through. If it's the guys, typically people have 10 minutes of attention span. That's what psychology says. When being a psychology student, I know that people cannot really concentrate more than 8 to 10 minutes. If you're not able to get that attention in 10 minutes, you're done. Whether you speak for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, 1 hour, doesn't matter. So ISB basically brought that structure to my thoughts. How do you really create those punchlines? How do you really summarize? How do you bring brevity into your talk? What's important, what's not? So those kind of things, are kind of the takeaway which I'm still relishing. I mean, every time I prepare a presentation, the ISB campus comes to my mind, and the assignments which we have done there, and the numerous kind of assignments, and we pushed our boundaries to sort of do all of that. But it's amazing the time. I still kind of go back to those days. No, true. I still kind of miss those late night assignments in sitting in Mirrorpool, and it's amazing time. Back to you.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you for answering that. So we have Shikha back. So Shikha, are you able to hear us? If you can ask.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry, I had to disappear for a while. Some network issues were there. So anyway, if you have anything specific, or you just want me to talk about, what exactly was the discussion happening?
Yeah. So
you want me to speak about my experience right now?
Yeah, so we were, just discussing about the learnings that you have had at PGP Max. You could mention 2 important learnings that you carried with you till now.
Yeah, okay. So when I joined ISB, it was essentially, this was a quest for more or less my latent potential. I wanted to do more. When you start working in a corporate environment, you always feel that, okay, I could have done this better. And, basically more of a self-discovery exercise, which we do in our day-to-day work. But you feel that, maybe, you're not doing enough yet. So that led me to join ISB. And of course, you would want to move up the corporate ladder. And once I joined, of course, you network, you tend to match up to your, colleagues' levels, or maybe improve, or even if you are helping others, you feel a great sense of satisfaction, that, okay, I could bring up somebody else to my level, or I could reach that person's level. So, you meet those kind of people when you join such courses. And once you are done with this course, I found in my experience that people view you with more professional respect. You are offered more opportunities, and you actually gain more, I would say, line of sight of where your respective business is heading, where the organization you are working with. You can see a lot of pitfalls, which you can, yourself avoid and help the senior management avoid. So for me, it was a very, very, I would say, beneficial learning experience as far as, ISB is concerned. of course, the whole experience, the campus, the staff, the alumni association, everybody has been, holding hands, and during the tenure of the course, as well as, earlier and later. So you're part of large family, and that's how I see my experience with ISB. I've learned my time management, improved my time management skills, I would say. You plan your work more systematically, getting more out of your time. And of course, teamwork has improved, needless to say, that goes without saying. And you are getting more out of your team and delivering more to your superiors. And that's how I see, that value add which ISB has done to me. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shikha. So the next question that we generally get, when we're speaking to the candidates or they want to know about the program is, since it's quite an expensive program, so how do you, define the return on investment from this program? So Vanna, starting with you, how did, when you were trying to figure out a program for yourself, how did you calculate the return of investment for yourself?
No, I didn't have any formula. It is like, what is my return on investment? This is like, what is it that I wanted? And what I wanted, I was not calculating, frankly, in terms of what I'm going to spend it, because see, that's going to happen. So that is a given. You're studying. If you're a good professional, if you're good at your job, and you're growing and you're progressive, you are going to grow, and you are going to make, you're going to grow basically professionally, whether it's in terms of the value you work, and rising up the corporate ladder and compensation and all of that. So for me, I was not very frankly attached to that concept of I'm spending X amount and how soon can I recover. I wasn't really thinking of that in that perspective, or at least I didn't have a window. That wasn't my focus. So for me, it was more about learning. But yes, having said that, it wasn't a jump into it. It was a very, very thoughtful taken decision, because it is indeed expensive, no doubt about that. But then at the end of the day, it is when it is high quality. And like I said, again, what is it that you're getting out of it? It was not, again, for me, a question of, I could have, I'm in Gurgaon. There are options around in Delhi and Gurgaon, where it wouldn't have cost me much, but then I would have not gotten the same thing. So I think one has to, this is something that I guess each one has to think from their own perspective. From my perspective, I knew that was inevitable. I will get that return. I was not too tied to whether I want it in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That wasn't important. And having said that, I got it much sooner than I expected. So that's the other thing. But I wasn't attached to that concept. I was more attached to learning. That was more important for me, and high quality learning, not just learning. You're watching a YouTube video, or you're doing buying a book or something like that. It was much more than that, and that for me was more important. Yeah,
I really agree with you, Vanna, on that. So, Krishna, about you, how did you, or how would you want to address our attendees today on the ROI part?
Well, I 100% agree with what Vandana is saying. If you go into a course, or if you go into a learning with the perspective of how soon you will get this money back, I don't think that is the right way to approach an institute. Generally, education cannot be put into a formula in terms of return of investment. If that's the story, then a person should start a business. So essentially, the main mantra is, if you are getting what you really go to the institute to get, you will be able to turn it around. And whether even if a person is spending a lot more than there, and does not have a sense of how that learning is going to benefit you, or how you are going to utilize that whole money is going to be futile, no matter what kind of formula you have put. Just the institute name isn't going to give you that ROI, right? It's entirely on you. How do you want to kind of make sense out of it? The more important thing here is not really monetary benefits, but the industry today in India is require these skills which I has been teaching. If you are gaining from there and if you are coming back in the industry, there is no way why you won't be able to turn it around. You will, unless you are not really making use of it nicely. So I think person should not really go from a monetary mindset to the institute, but just go with the mindset of learning and gaining. As you know, I still remember that quote from that movie Three Idiots. He used to say that you strive for excellence, success will come automatically, right? So that's the important part.
Couldn't agree with you more, Krishna. Really. Shikha, how do you think ROI should be calculated for a program like PGP Max, or would you even calculate it in terms of monetary values?
So when I was looking at this program, I didn't have any comparison as such. I had not explored other programs. I was so impressed with the first info session itself, and I met Vandana there.
Yes.
And she was actually, she was actually, midway through the course, and she was like, I didn't need, probably ISB didn't need a better advocate
Shikha, your
than
voice is
Vandana
breaking.
at that point of
Shikha.
time, and she was like so impressive in her experience in info session itself that I'll be joining actually. But yeah, sorry. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear
Yeah,
me better?
yeah, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. So as I said, Vanna was the one who convinced me to sort of take the leap, and it was a good decision. Yes, of course, it was expensive even at that point of time. But with education loan happening, I think I was able to manage it pretty well. And as far as I'm concerned, I could recoup the entire investment in myself. As I would like to call it, in the next 1.5 year post passing out of this course. So I didn't see that as much of a challenge. Of course, the education loan is running, but then that keeps keeps going. I mean, I think if one seriously wants to make an investment in oneself, this is not a very high cost to sort of consider. So it all depends on how much passionately you're looking at investing in yourself. And if you can pay off your education loans for the next whatever tenure you fix, I think it's manageable. That's my view on it. And ROI, of course, no other expense or investment is better than investing in yourself. I see it as an investment in myself, and I learned a lot, so I don't really mind having paid that fee. Yeah.
Thank you, Shikha. Thank you for that. So, since we have a panel of female alums here, so, wanted to ask a very typical question. So, being a female, it's more difficult to, strike a balance between your personal and professional life. And then added on top of it is a program that you are doing. So, how did you manage all these three different aspects, and, any tips for our attendees today there? Vandana, starting with you again.
Yeah. Yes, I think, I mean, the family support is the most important. So, and that's it. I mean, that's the very long and a very short answer. Actually, it's your immediate family. And so for me, I had a very supportive husband. My daughter was just 10 when I did this course. So she was, fairly small, and she was just in grade fifth. But everybody rallied around. That's what I would say. Of course, I'm not and then of course better time management and all of that goes without saying. But all of that would come to nothing if your family is not behind you. So for me, it was my husband was very supportive, and my mom and my mother-in-law would take turns to come and stay with him while I was at ISB. It worked out. So whether it's a male or a female, I've seen our male colleagues also go through some of these issues. But yeah, of course, being a female, having a bit more, I think, responsibility of the household, you need the support. That's very important.
Thank you, Vandana. Krishna, how did you manage everything?
Well, in addition to family, my boss, he has been my mentor for quite some time. He was also very supportive. Rather, before I took the plunge to kind of start the course, I had a very detailed discussion with him, and he has been mentoring me for quite some time. He has been very, very supportive. I sort of said that I'm gonna just disappear for a week. I mean, you okay with that? You don't. I'm not going to attend your calls when I'm in the program. So he said, no, it's good for you. It's good investment in yourself. It will make you a better leader, and in turn, it's going to benefit me only. So I would say that I'm committed to your investment, and you go ahead. So that was one part. And as you said, yes, I mean with females it's a little difficult because not because of work, I would say, not because work is typically when you're working, the house is not really completely dependent on you in terms of working as such, right? In terms of you cooking or you kind of helping in household chores. But then the emotional connect which is needed by you as a mother, like as Vandana mentioned, I had a 8-year-old son at that time, and he was quite connected to me for anything and everything. In the night he would want me to kind of stay with him, listen to him. So those kind of things were a little difficult, and yes, the entire family rallied. But yeah, my husband kind of stepped into my shoes. He was there performing that role for some time when I was out, when I was not there. But yeah, I mean, it worked out. It was tough period though. I mean, not only from the family standpoint, not only from the work balance standpoint, but also taking a toll on health in a way, because we used to kind of stay there, hardly used to get any sleep, and work nights. And I remember when I used to come back on Friday nights, the entire Saturday I used to sleep like a log, and my husband would wake me up and eat something, Krishna, and then sleep. So it's been 12 hours you're on bed, but it all worked out because the excitement of going back next time and getting back into that cohort and enjoying that academics, and it just kept us going. Yeah.
Thank you, Krishna. I can really see the nostalgia on your face and the smiles and everything. So, thank you. Shikha, how did you manage, any tips for our attendees today?
Yeah, so while
Not
I
able
talk
to hear you,
about
Shikha,
it,
again.
I recollect what Sanjay, the director admissions that time. So when I talk about this, I remember what Sanjay, he was the director admissions that time. He said, okay, during the induction program, he said, once you're here, you'll actually wonder which to join this program. It will be very stressful. So as far as the stress is concerned,
Shikha, we lost you.
am I audible?
Yes, Shikha, you're audible now, but there was a lot of static and in the audio before.
Vanna, can you hear me? I see on
I
the
can
screen,
hear
but
you. I can hear
seems
you.
We can
am I
hear
audible,
you.
please?
Yeah. Yes, you
Yes,
are.
Shikha.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's wrong, seriously. Anyways, so yeah, okay. What Sanjay said, which side of the bed you got off on, and you'll always wonder for the next 1 year, why did you join this course? It adds, of course, your work to attend to, so it gets difficult, but not doable. So on a lighter note, I would say everything manages itself once you've really decided to pursue it, and some workaround is needed for sure. I think with a cooperative circle of friends and family, one can manage it reasonably. Not a big deal. Maybe, women, especially since you asked a women-centric question, maybe women need to be a little more selfish sometimes, and assert, like, okay, prioritize what's important, then you should go for it. Don't think about, how it will pan out. You should expect something from your family and do what's needed to be done. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Shikha. So audience, we'll open it up for Q&A now. I'm done with my set of questions. So in case you have any questions, you can put it up in the Q&A box and I can start taking each of them to our panelists. So we already have quite a few questions in the Q&A box. So I'll start with the ones that came in first. So Vandana, the first question is posed to you by one of our attendees. So he's asking that, you did mention that choice of institute is very important, when you're thinking to join a program. So while there are a variety of choices across the globe, why did you decide to choose ISB and why not an international institute or any other institute?
Well, ISB is international in one way, and yeah, you're right. I did have the choice of, attending an institute out of India, and I travel and work a lot in the US market. But like I said, the ISB offers you the same global context and the expertise. So then why would I go there? And most importantly, the thing was it was based in India. We have faculty that comes from the best universities outside of India. And so for me, that was the whole thing, was to, of course, have an institute. It was a very conscious decision to, like I said earlier in my when I started, for me the choice was very clear. It was just ISB. If in India, ISB or nothing. And otherwise, of course, if outside of India, then the US, I would have seen what to do based on my location. But that is what it was. So the faculty is absolutely world class. So you get that context. You not only learn, so from your cohorts and from your learnings, it's not just the you're learning about the Indian context. You're also learning about global, because the case studies are very are kind of very global in nature. So for me, that was the reason. I thought
Can I
world
add
class
something here?
education.
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry,
yes, Shikha.
Vanna. Can
Yes,
I
Shikha.
add something?
Yeah.
So as Vanna said, it's global in any case. What was unique about the proposition was that, if you go to Kellogg's, let's say in isolation, you get a faculty exposure of only that particular school. But at ISB, the course was designed in a way, this PGP Max program, that, the best of the faculties from, world-class institutes has been chosen to come and deliver that particular exclusive subset of knowledge to you. So I believe that, probably that's the most unique part, which is not, available in any of the, international business schools, which you would want to, pursue your business education with. That was basically my reason of choosing ISB over others as well. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Sorry,
You,
Vanna, for the
Shikha.
interruption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was a valid point. Yeah.
Thank you. So next question, Krishna, we have for you. So there's an attendee who is working with IBM and has 22 years of experience, and primarily the role is very technical. So now he's exploring a career transformation. So he's asking if you would recommend taking this leap because it's a huge investment in terms of money and in terms of time. So how would you like to answer that?
So depends on how you want to see yourself, down the road. Sometimes the people who have a technical mindset, and I have been there, so they don't really want to get entangled into the management world. They don't like to get into who's who kind of talk. They would like to kind of sit in their cubicle and do something, bring that impact and to work in product development. So the people who want to kind of get into remain in the research and technical world, try to keep the innovation going in the technical arena. I think for them probably it may not be a suitable option, because they will then probably a PhD would be a better idea in your line of the line which suits your interest there, right? But if you like to kind of grow in terms of explaining your product to market. I mean, the way I used to see it, if I'm building something and if I'm not able to, realize it in the actual market, if the clients are not able to use it, then if my product is being explained by sales guys to them, then probably, it's not going to fly. I should be able to talk about my product. I should be able to relate my product to business and tell them that when I was associated with Watson Labs in IBM, I was part of the product development team for 3 years. And then I realized I'm sitting in a lab and building a product, which, I don't know how this product is perceived outside. And I kind of changed my role from labs, came to services and pick up pre-sales role. I wanted to explain my product to client and see what is the impact. For that conversation, you need to understand that language. You can't talk technical to business, as I earlier said. That's where, ISB helps. It will bring the technology closer. So it's like technology and business are two ends of a river. And, you can shout from here and the business can shout from there. But if you want to build a bridge, you need that knowledge. Right? So ISB brings you that. ISB brings you that.
Thank you, Krishna, and I hope that answers the question that the attendee asked. So next question, Shikha might want to take that up. So, talking about the curriculum, how different is the curriculum compared to, other schools, or if you have researched? So, and how will it help the attendee get a change in the career track? So he's been working for 10 years in a similar company. So how would it help to change his career?
So let me be very honest that curriculum per se may not be that drastically different from, let's say, IIM Bangalore or wherever else IIMs might, having their own curriculums, and it may not be as different, but yes, there is a distinct focus, as I said, in terms of how the learning is imparted. It's a very focused kind of design which has been which ISB has come up, especially for PGP Max. So you actually do a lot of learning at your end, as well as, once you go on campus for a week, basically you are actually ready to absorb whatever else the professor has to, of course, I would say impart, the rest of the finer points. And then when you appear for the exam at the end of the week, by that time also you might not be really very through with what you've learned yet, but once you go back again, if the particular module interested you, so you really learn from extraneous sources as well. You need to read up more. It doesn't end at that 1 week. And so not like, for example, not everybody might be very comfortable with maybe finance or maybe the mathematical modelings, but then maybe the marketing module, if it interests you and you pick up the same module in much detail later, once even the module has ended at ISB. So it depends on what you want to draw from that course, and you should have a very clear thought that, this is what I want from this course. These are the modules. And then once you've selected to go for this course, you should just stay focused on that. Okay, rest of the modules, I will of course have to pass, but then, my aim is to actually enrich my knowledge only for that focus area. And that was basically the strategy I adopted. And it would have worked at any other institute as well. But then since I said it's a very uniquely designed course, and I really enjoyed my time with the professors. We are still in touch with most of them. They are very helpful. If you have any queries, they would immediately answer. They'll guide you all through life. So I would say curriculums are not important. How you approach this learning and how the institute which is giving you that learning, how the institute is approaching that learning process is what is important, and ISB does it well. Yeah.
And can I also add one thing quickly, that, with ISB, the curriculum is, it would be, like Shikha said, as inclusive subject-wise as any other good institute, top institute would have it. And the thing is that it's not like you're given a list of 10 books and say, well, we're just going to teach from a book. And that's where the difference is. So when you're learning finance, and or strategy, and you're learning for somebody from Stanford or Kellogg or Wharton or UT or University of Texas, wherever it is. Um, the thing is that the professors bring that into the course, and so you get that when somebody asked about international MBA, so you get that sitting over here because the and because it's not driven by a book, it's driven by them. So instead of one book, you're probably reading out of three or four, and and the pedagogy is very different. So you're doing these case studies which touch upon a host of different topics, and the course is easily calibrated by the professor. So it is not rigid in the sense that you're reading off a book or you're being taught out of a book, uh, and it's not that unstructured that you don't know what to expect. I think it's a very perfect mix, considering that this is for executive MBA. There are a wide variety, the entire set of people who are studying with you at that point of time. The collective work experience would be, hundreds of years, and so it can touch upon very advanced topics as well. So, and that is what ISB provides in the framework that it has designed. That is what it can absorb. So you can, get to any level. You can take the discussion to any level because you have professors that can, address those questions within the format. So, yeah.
I remember one incident. We were talking. We were in the strategy class where there was an open question about a company, and the professor asked the opinion in the class. So when somebody stood up and gave an opinion, right? He started debating. He started, the other perspective. After the class, we out of curiosity, we kind of asked him, "Do you really believe in that, the perspective which you put through?" And he said, "See, my idea is not to give you perspective. My idea is to give you both perspectives. If you would have picked up the other one, I would have debated with this one.
The other one, yeah.
It's not about teaching you something. It's about bringing both aspects in front of you." So I really never forget that incident.
Yeah,
Very
exactly,
cool.
exactly.
Sure. Thank you for that answer. So, the next question is a lot of, highlight of the course is based upon the network that is built over a period of time when you are in the class or when you're outside, working, but still in the program. So, how from your experience would you explain this network? How did it help? So, it's an open question for any of you to answer.
I can go first. I mean, so yeah, network, and yes, the network is there, and it's as good as it depends on how you use it. It's there. If you can tap into it, if you can work it, great. But it doesn't work on its own. That's what a network is. So personally, for me, I whenever I have needed something very very focused, whoever I have reached out to outside of my batch, I have had a very positive experience. It has helped me. So I would just say that the network is strong. I mean, I can't say anything about since the pandemic. It has impacted all of us, but it's entirely up to you how you leverage it, because it's not just about, because you have to also understand it's not just about taking, it's about giving as well. It's not, it's a give and take. That's how networks, alum networks work, not just for ISB, everywhere else. So,
I think what brings out is what better thing which ISB brings out in terms of network is the wide variety of industry. Sometimes what happens is, you are like, I'm from a technical industry. When I kind of look at somebody who is, a CFO of a pharmaceutical, it is an entirely different world, an entirely different perspective. And when you give a shout out in relevant context to such people who have expertise in that field, right, people respond. And as Vandana mentioned, I mean, it's give and take. There are a lot of people who come to me for help in terms of, because my world is technical analytics and data science, which is kind of common. It's like horizontal belt across industries today, right? So I get a lot of requests from a lot of alums to help me out in putting down some strategy slides, putting down, hand out some tutorials or give ideas about how to prepare a course, or which online courses would help in upskilling, those kind of things. Like, so you give, you get. So it's a pure, give and take scenario in a network. It's like building a bunch of friends across you. So
Thank you, Krishna and Vanna, for that. There's one question where it's typical. So, I don't know, in your cohort, it might have been that there would be some international students or people coming from abroad to attend the course. So, how did they manage? If you have any idea on how did they manage to do the course, if there was any international student?
We had I think a couple of people, and I didn't see them struggling. So I think they managed. Um, yeah, I mean that's all I can say. That we had a couple, and so I'm not sure they flew down every month because, but uh, they were in India half of the time. So rest of the time, I just remember just saying, "Hey, hi, good to see you." So they must have done something. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you, Vandana. So, there are a lot of people who are thinking about an EMBA program, but are really confused between a full-time program or a weekend program, an alternate weekend program like a PGP Pro, or, doing a PGP Max program, because, they have an experience which they can fall in any of these programs. So what would be your suggestions to such candidates?
Right. Talking about from my perspective, a full time thing, I don't know. Again, depends. I can just talk about from PGP Max, like what I liked about it. And by the way, when I did it, there was no PGP Pro, so it was either a full time or it was PGP Max. But now, having known what the PGP Pro is, I mean, I would again still go in for the PGP Max, because what happens is I really liked the format where you are on campus pretty much every month, because even if you do it on an average, you're there every month. And it's that for that 1 week, that's all you're doing, you're just studying, and you have, like, again, this is a group thing, this is not an individual thing, because you are learning a lot, and you're there, you're with your group, you're doing assignments, you're studying, you have fought for nothing else. You're the faculty. So it is taking a week off, and from work, and then when you go back, you do need to spend some time on and off, and it is definitely not easy. Almost a year and a half doing this along with the job. I mean, whatever, whether you do PGP Pro or I mean, full time means leaving your job. It is definitely not easy, but I mean, and at the end of the day, I think it's just your choice of what it is. With PGP Max, I think you have in the cohort people with many more years of experience, I think. And it's the intensive learning, for me, that is very important, and it's there for a week, a month, and then you just go ahead. And so there is no breaking, I mean, there is no disconnect. You're just doing it. You're not like doing something now and then finishing off another week, or every alternate week. I don't know exactly, I'm sorry, I don't know the PGP Pro, whether they have the same thing over a couple of weekends or how it works.
So it's an
But
alternate weekend program.
it's an alternate weekend. So yeah, so you're studying something and there's a disconnect, and then again you pick it up, and in the PGP Max you're just there for 1 week, and that's you're living and breathing those couple of courses that you're doing. So there is no break in the studying, and you're just going from it. So that's the choice is everybody else's. I think it's just like what works for you. What's the kind of which one out of it is more sits with you work wise, and again your peers. That's the
Thank you. The question to you again, it's an open question for everybody, and I'd love to hear from all three of you for this question. How, apart from learning from the faculty and the curriculum, how was the atmosphere, in terms of the peer group and the networking and peer group learning in your respective cohorts?
Well, I think 70% of the learning comes from cohort. If I'm being honest, you as you know, Vandana was mentioning, the 1 week which you are spending, you're breathing, you're breathing those subjects there, and especially while what you learn is with your interactive discussions which you have with your small little groups. I mean, typically in PGP Max, you were divided into teams to submit an assignment or a project. So we remember, like, sitting outside till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the night, discussing how to frame it, debating on questions, debating on different sides and different perspectives together, how to present it, how to those kind of learnings which you got in interaction with cohort is the ones which you are cherishing today, and that allows you to gel also. I mean, in the world today, in the industry today, people have started working silo. I mean, whether you're hit by pandemic, I think before pandemic also, in terms of outcomes, people used to work silos. It was very, especially in this, in the up the corporate ladder, right? The collaboration is very less in terms of outcome. But this course and this interaction which we had with the cohort taught us that it's good to kind of take opinions from everyone. And if you can convince a bunch of thinking minds, then you can convince everybody. So that's how you should proceed further. So while faculties and the course and the curriculum was all very good in ISB, but I think like-minded people and smart and people who are up of this competitive kind of mindset, right? Where people really are there to learn, people are really there to kind of achieve something. Everybody has the same orientation there. So, and it's, as I mentioned, good to hear from different industries. What happens is we basically fence ourselves to the world which we are in. But then the same topic, when you apply it to pharmaceutical, or you apply it to finance, or you apply it to manufacturing, it's a different world altogether. So good to hear from them and broaden your thinking there. So cohort learning is best in ASP.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shikha
so
and Val, yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to pitch in for a short while. So every there being a lot of industry mix, different industries, people coming in, everybody for the same problem will have a different way to approach the same problem. And what one interesting thing which I rest everything Vanna and Karishma have elaborated on, but one very interesting and peculiar thing which used to happen, and I recollect that professors used to ask us to explain our assignment in once we are done and submitted, and we used to present it. And he or she used to sort of grade us that okay, the maybe the answer eventually is the same for everyone, but how people have approached the same problem, how the group has in totality worked it out, how the group has within the group individuals had different perspectives. So we used to explain, everybody used to present all those approaches to that same problem. So it leads to a lot of collective peer level learning. We learn to appreciate each other's points of view and perspectives, and either we agree to disagree, or we actually agree, all of us, and then present our assignment in totality. So there's a lot of background learning also happening. It's not just curriculum learning, and the peers coming in from different socio-economic or maybe professional background. So like, since I was from real estate industry, I was like the only one kind of or maybe one more person or two more people were there. But if you have a bulk of maybe IT industry or any other industries, people learning with you, they bring a whole lot perspective to you, and you bring a whole lot perspective to them, in approaching any given problem. So I learned a lot personally. Yeah.
Vandana, if you could share your thoughts also.
I think they've both covered it all. There's nothing left for me to say.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
So,
but yeah, I think between the two, it's all done. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So the next question is, what makes PGP Max a great program for women also? And how does it equip them to have a seat at the leadership table?
I think, can I go first?
Yes, yes, please.
So, could you repeat the question? Is it just about from a women perspective, or how does it? Could you just repeat it?
So, an attendee is asking what makes PGP Max a great program for women also, because the women representation is around 15% in the class. And how does the program equip them to have a seat at the leadership table?
Okay. So first of all, I don't know, like women also, it is for everybody, for men and women. So it's nothing like that. The women are no less. Uh, and I mean, there's nothing, it's not, structured around any gender. It's for professionals. And I think it just helps. And as far as the seat at the table is concerned, again, it just all comes down to an individual on how one is able to leverage these learnings and this new gain of knowledge, and how you put it in your work, and maybe how you pivot. Maybe for some people I've known, who've after doing this course, had a role change, because now they have more knowledge about certain things, and they can perform a different function altogether. So it really all depends, depends on that. But it definitely 200% prepares you for that, because it's the all-rounded knowledge. And like Krishna and Shikha were just talking about it, all this group work, the collaboration, the presentations, the talking, this interacting with other people, like in your cohort, they're all bright. Like one thing you will, this is a life lesson that you will learn, is never underestimate anybody, because one after the other, everyone has something to offer. They're from varied industries, varied backgrounds, and it's amazing to learn. So once you do PGP Max, what I can guarantee you is that you'll be a changed person. So it will give you all the tools, it will give you that knowledge. Now, how you leverage that, how one uses that, is entirely an individual's, own initiative, or what they want to do with it. Because in no industry, it's not like a certificate is going to get anyone anything, whether it is ISB or it's whatever institute you can think of, one can think of. So it's up to the individual.
Yeah, so to add on to what Vanna said, so there's hardly any magic wand for anything, right? I mean, okay, yes, prestigious school offering you a learning which you wish to absorb and absorb it well, it will automatically lead you to do good work. So I remember my boss saying, so I used to be so hyper excited after every module, okay, this week I learned this and that, and let me apply it. And like he used to say that, okay, Shikha, I truly appreciate this, but let me tell you something. Don't give all the credit to ISB, and please, Smriti, don't mind. That because you were willing to learn, you already have it in you, and that's why you're willing to learn so many good things and come back and implement it. So give some credit to yourself also, and you're all gaga about ISB, but then yeah, you should praise, have a pat on your back for yourself also. So what I'm saying is that you have to be primed first, that you want to learn, and then of course ISB is helping you do that. So anybody who's not prepared to learn, not prepared to absorb, should not get into it, because just getting a stamp of ISB will not really help unless you've learned what the teachings are being imparted and actually translate it into practical implementation of whatever work you do. So that should be your thought, that once I'm there, I will learn this and I'll implement this in my work. And that's the only success which you should aim for. Nothing, I won't go for the course just for the brand name. Yes, of course it counts, but yes, the intent to learn should be your prime target.
Definitely, Shikha. I think, the willingness to learn is the most important thing, irrespective of where you get it from. Yes, it does matter, but yeah, the prime importance we give is also to the willingness of learning. So, the next question, I think I'd like Krishna to answer. So, with this pandemic situation, learning and business do keep on changing every minute, every day. So how does the program help in terms of the curriculum meeting the continuity in education or learning? And how do you keep yourself updated with the alums and the learning that you do on a daily basis?
Well, I think pandemic has been a little unfortunate, and everybody is hit around it. But I guess our industry has kind of adopted very, very well. I don't see a difference in terms of, yeah, I mean, in-person meetings have sort of not taking place now. But the way we are talking right now, I mean, it's as good as meetings together, right? I mean, we in our company we are also having beer parties like that. It's just that you bring your own mug of beer. So there's nothing so much impacting in that sense. But yeah, I mean the industry in terms of business, there has been a little bit of change. I don't know about other industries, but my industry has kind of been benefited from it. People have realized the reason, the rationale of investing more. People have realized reason of investing in more sustainable products, instead of kind of supporting all this nonsense across the world, which is making life difficult for everyone. People have said, okay, let's invest, but let's just invest responsibly. So from an industry standpoint, I don't see that pandemic has kind of brought in any adverse effect as such from an industry standpoint. Yeah, I mean the only piece which I see is getting a little difficult is to bring in new people. So what happens is when people used to come in all those corridor talks, all those coffee chats, and which basically makes them gel and get into the team and feel belonged, right? That is missing now. So all of those shout outs, I remember, when I used to walk down to pantry to fill up my water bottle and come back, it was quite a walk, and by the time I used to get in, I used to pass 10 smiles. I used to, pat on 4, 5 shoulders. I used to, meet with eyes with few people. Those kind of things are kind of not there anymore. So that interactive gelling and everything is missing. But otherwise, from an industry standpoint, I mean the growth standpoint, or from practical business standpoint, I don't see why pandemic has been a hurdle, at least for my industry. I mean, I would not comment on others because probably manufacturing would have taken a hit, where people have to literally go personally and work there. It cannot be work. You cannot have work from home there. So, but that's my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you. So another question is, how do you think an executive MBA or a PGP Max program uh, will accelerate the progression, in your respective fields? So, maybe you can start with one.
Is it the question of how it helped in my field?
Yes, yes. How did it accelerate your progression in, your industry?
In my industry, yeah. Uh, well, I'm just trying to think how to, where to start from. So, uh, so the thing is, with after doing this course, I will talk it. I'll just go one level down, and not at the industry level. I'll just go one level down to the company. I'm still with the same company, but doing much more, grown quite a lot within the same company. And like I've been talking about it before, it is the all-rounded learning and knowledge that I gained from ISB that helped me take on new roles, take on new responsibilities. And so that's what I've done. And at an industry level, let me also tell you from that perspective, yeah, I do get involved, engaged, even at an industry level, pro bono. I'm on the committee, data standards committee of CII, and with I work with FICCI, and in turn working with Ministry of Health or Finance on certain health standards that we could bring to the industry. And I work with various international offices on providing solutions to health insurance issues on those countries. So all of this confidence and all of this ability comes from these learnings in some ways. So the technology background was there. But again, it's just like how one is applying what they learn ahead. into their work, and then which rolls up into an industry. For me, innovation, for me, building new products, health products, has been something that has given me a, of course, there's a technology part of it, but there's also the business element part of it. And at times I'm a one-person team. That's more than enough to meet any CXO. So I can talk to a CEO, I can talk to a CTO, I can talk to a CFO, I can talk to a CEO, just one person, because I can now understand the business. So there's all of that has helped personally me grow in my job, in my role, beyond what I was doing.
Thank you, Vandana. Krishna, over to you. How did it accelerate your progression in your industry?
Well, the first thing which I got from this course was confidence. To sort of stand up in any forum, speak my mind. Earlier, I used to have double thought on what I'm going to say, and how it will be perceived. Those kind of things were there, especially because I came from technical world, and when I used to sit in business meetings, I was never sure that am I understood? Am I making sense? Am I are people resonating with me? So that used to be my first worry, which went off. I was able to talk that language. I was able to read how people are perceiving me. I was able to perform better. So that was, I think, the first thing which helped me grow. Then I always saw, so it's like you find your passion, right? So I have been in the technical world for some time, but after a certain point of time, I started realizing that me connecting technology to business is the area I want to grow. It's the area I am good at. I am able to kind of connect those dots and explain the technical things in business sense nicely. So when I discovered that passion, then I knew that this ISP course is going to literally help me grow in that career, and I did. I started when I started this course, I was working as a pre-sales consultant. Then I grew to understand how strategies are formed, how you can kind of lead a practice from scratch, you build a practice from scratch. How do you manage people? How do you manage business? How do you design strategy? How do you transform? Those kind of things, and all of these learning somewhere have come from all the courses which we have done from ISPs. And when you say that you are strategizing, you want to put a structure around it. How do you put a structure around it? I still go back to some of the pre-course, some of the session slides which I have, which have taught me. Like there was a recent event where I needed to present something about performance-driven culture. I went back to my slides of a course we had been taught of developing, high performance team, picked up some material from there, and, framed my mind around that. So it has immensely helped in terms of knowledge, in terms of, building confidence and, growing me as an individual.
Sure. Thank you, Krishna. Over to you, Shikha. Your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah, so the industry I was working with when I joined ISB was so in real estate.
Shikha, your voice is again getting distorted.
The various departments are structured like more or less working in silos. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Smriti?
Yeah.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So in real estate industry, typically it's a very silos kind of structuring of various departments. Everybody does their own thing, and not many people either want to or are allowed to look into how the other departments are working. So I found that I should when I looked at a lateral or a more expanded role of body of work. So I wanted to do this course to understand the whole business environment in any industry. Of course, real estate industry is also a part of, so it's a typical industry, but then more or less the same principles apply. So I wanted to know more how businesses really work and why and how I would be able to expand my role. So when I joined this, I was taking up I was into an assignment which dealt with post-sales delivery of the real estate products. But once I finished this, I the top management offered me a larger role of heading the sales, marketing, and CRM along with my earlier role. So you actually gain a lot of perspective of the why the other unit is doing what, and how you would be able to do more value add once you are thorough with what needs to be done in various verticals simultaneously, and you also give out the best output then. So personally, I was able to not only get that role, enhanced role, and also move into the superior league of professionals who were at the board level, and I would be able to make myself heard better and move into decision making roles. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. So the next question that really comes up is how when you were doing the program and when you went back to your office, in the 4 to 6 weeks gap that you had, how did you ensure that you practically implemented the learnings and the skills when you were in office after doing the program or the week at ISB? So starting with you, Anil.
Uh, well, it really depended on what I could apply. And that's how I went ahead with it. So, for instance, I distinctly remember finance being pretty helpful with me, and even after studying even economics and some of the the initial course that we had, the DMUU, a bunch of all these courses, these I could apply right away in terms of what I was doing. Some I couldn't, like accounting, because there was no overlap between what I was doing. It did help me in some ways in talking and in understanding when we were discussing, but some of these things I could apply right away. Again, related to strategy, certain concepts, certain frameworks, certain tools. So whatever was relevant, I tried my best to do that. Like Krishna was just giving an example, tons of such examples. And so I think it would just depend on everybody's, each person, individual's own situation or what works for them.
Mhm. Sure. The next question that I have is, and since we require these organization support letters from everybody and their organizations to let their employees do the program, when you were doing the program, how did you manage to convince your employer or your HR or organization to, to be allowing you to, invest your time in the program? So, Shikha, maybe you can start with you.
Yeah, so I have a very different experience here. So I don't know whether I can name my organization or not, but yeah, if you allow me to. So
Yeah.
DLF, I had a very 24/7 kind of a job when I applied for this course, and initially they had said yes, okay, but then later there was a little bit of a hitch. How can we give so much leave and all that. Eventually I did not succeed in convincing, and then I moved my assignment to Hiranandani's, and who were very kind to allow me to attend this course. And then I came back to DLF, of course, after completing the course. But my point is, you need to be very clear with your employer, whosoever is has this question. I mean, you have to have a very big heart to heart. Okay, I mean, midway they might tell you that okay, we are not able to spare you. Then what will you do? So you need to have a very clear understanding with your employer on this one. Yeah.
How about you, Krishna? How did you manage to convince your employer? You really talked about, how did you manage the conversation between you and your immediate manager, but then, the organization in total, how did you convince them?
Actually, it is my team also which stepped up. My manager was one thing. I mean, I had the support. I could have left things out, and essentially, your to-do list, whatever is there, whether you go for a week or 10 days, you have to come back and manage your to-do list yourself. That's how this world works. But then at least my team sort of supported me in not letting anything fall down the cracks during that period when I was off. So it was immense support from the team members also. They used to step up and take up my calls, answer those questions. But I was lucky to kind of have been surrounded with such people. I don't think in any of those 15 months I got a single call during my week when I was in ISB. So it has been pretty smooth for me. I mean, not that experience.
Yeah, I think you can be as strong as your team is. So really resonate with that. So how about you, Vandana? How did you manage to
Yeah.
convince your
Hmm. It was, in fact, I mean, one of my references was my boss. You ISB asked for references. I think that says it all. Uh, I think I approached it when I felt it was right, and I had the confidence and the kind of vision and the clarity of what I could do later on. So I had that conversation with him, and it went pretty. I was ready with a lot of arguments and counter arguments and a lot of material, but it didn't go that way. It was very quick approval. It was like, oh yeah, sure, I think you're really good to do that, and I was like, okay, that was easy. So,
nice to
so
hear
but
that.
yeah, my organization was very very helpful and very supportive. So yeah,
So yeah, I think it's more of an apprehension in our minds that
yeah,
we won't be allowed, or how do I bring up this conversation? But once you have that courage to stand for yourself, I think everything falls into
yeah.
place. So definitely agree with you on that. So almost to the end of the session now. So last question, before I wrap it up. So on the application process, how would you like to uh, talk about the application process to our attendees, and any tips you'd like to share with them? One starting with you again.
Okay. No, I was just thinking it's been a while, and I don't know what the application looks like right now. Maybe it's the same. I mean, I would just say, and like that was my approach. I, wrote. There are certain questions and essays and all of that. Just be authentic is what I would say. And think it through. Give it, articulate, discuss with your friends. Sometimes it does, sometimes one is not able to articulate or put into words. Maybe someone can help you over there. But always be, very authentic about it. And yes, be ambitious. And definitely don't uh, count yourself short on any aspect. Show your best, because that application is what kind of shows what you are. So put up your best is what I would say. And yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shik.
so
Yeah.
so if I remember it right, one part is of course factual, where you need to elaborate on all your academic credentials so far, and the other one is your professional journey, and then the third part, which is most important, is that what is your statement of purpose, and why do you want to do this course, and there are two recommendations, if I remember it right, you need to submit, and you need to contact people who have had a direct experience of working with you, and probably if they can recommend you well, that helps. And of course, it will be followed by a personal interview. Your application screening will be shortlisted, and then thereafter you'll be called for a personal interview if you make it to the final stage. A penalty made final stage, and then of course a final list will be out. This was the process at our time. I'm sure it would be pretty much the same now also. But two things I would suggest you should focus on. One should be a very clear statement of purpose, what you want to achieve with this course, and the recommendations part. You need to manage them well. You should have somebody who is probably very well versed with your body of work recommending you. That helps a lot.
Sure. Thank you. That was very useful, Shikha. Krishna, any tips for the applications?
Well, I think being authentic, as Vandana mentioned, is very important. You should be able to justify what you're writing in there. You know, just writing in big words, fancy words won't help. That's one. And second thing, I guess, is you should really be calling out some of the challenges or some of the difficult conditions which you have had, and how did you tackle them. That brings in puts forth a lot about your character and your perseverance, that you're able to kind of sustain this corporate world, which is vicious in one way. I mean, it's not all healthy, right? So those kind of things bringing out, or how you're dealing with the team, how you're, this is also important for BGP Max, that as I said, that class learning, the interactive learning is the base point of these courses. So if the interview panel basically feels that you are a good team player, you are able to kind of collaborate in a group better, then that also plays a good part. So all those things out which you have kind of achieved in terms of collaboration within your journey.
Sure. Thank you so much, all the panelists today. So, last question for the weekend. So, any closing remarks for the people who are attending today? Starting with you, Shikha.
I would say go for it. That's all. In short and sweet, yeah, go for it.
How about you, Vanna? Any closing remarks for the
Yeah,
attendees?
just same. I mean, everybody would think like we've been taught, but no, this is genuine. This is one of the best decisions you will make. This is unparalleled in terms of what you're going to learn. I think there's nothing, at least in India, that matches the PGP Max program in terms of what it offers, in my opinion. I might be biased, but so be it. Uh, but yes, definitely, please do seriously consider, and don't get too worried about the intensity. Yes, it is intense, but then we're all, I'm sure, everybody, the typical person who does this is a senior professional. You've seen a lot of work pressures, family pressures, throughout your journey. And this one will be a fun kind of a pressure, which you will enjoy, look forward to actually. So yeah, go ahead, sign up, is what I would say.
Thank you, Vandana. Krishna, closing remarks from you.
Right. So I think it's a wholesome learning. So, if you're ready to take your time to decide that you want to kind of get into this world, once you make that decision, go for it, and take the full advantage of the course. As I said, it's like a buffet. 24 modules are there as 24 dishes. Pick your best, the ones which basically relate to your world, and go and learn. It's an amazing program.
Thank you. Thank you. So, with that, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, Vandana, Shikha, and Krishna for joining us and giving such great insights to our attendees today. And I hope it really helped them clear out their mind about the program or any questions that they had. And thank you for sparing the time on a Saturday evening with us. Thank you so much. And I look forward to interacting with all of you again.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.